Before smartphones could save the day and Google Calendar ruled our lives, two stressed out parents were just trying to survive New York City, their kids, and jobs. That's right, we're celebrating Jackie's birthday with One Fine Day.
Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the worst and best movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we're revisiting One Fine Day, the rom-com that asks, what if the worst day of your life was also the beginning of something cute? All to celebrate our lovely Jackie. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's a way you can.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on any of our streaming platforms so you never miss an episode. We've got plenty more of deep dives into your favorites and not so favorite Y2K movies coming up. What is One Fine Day about, Danielle?
Well, when workaholic architect Melanie and chaotic newspaper columnist Jack miss their kids' field trip boat, the two single parents are forced to share childcare duties for one very long Manhattan day. Between career disasters, misplaced trust, and a whole lot of kitty cats, the pair discovered that sometimes the right person shows up at the absolute worst time. The movie stars Michelle Pfeiffer, George Clooney, Mae Whitman, Alex DeLinz, Charles Durning, Amanda Peet, and Holland Taylor. The movie was directed by Michael Hoffman and was written by Terrell Seltzer and Ellen Simon. You can currently watch this movie for a whopping $14.99 on Fandango at home, or if you're like some of us, on DVD. Physical.
That's how I watched it last night. I dusted off my DVD.
Well, mine is at my house, so spoilers for our ratings rewind. But before we get started, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial ratings. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
That sanitation director may be in Barbados, but the trash will always follow him.
Danielle, what is your Y2K rating of One Fine Day?
Well, I think we just spoiled it, but I do have this on DVD. And it always annoyed me back in the day because the DVD I have for this one is the the paper flap with the thing that closes. I have that version. Yeah.
Not the clamshell. I don't know if they had a technical term for it.
I don't know what it is. I used to think it was a purse. It's snappies.
Well,
yeah. How about you?
Mine would be a would buy, Avi. It's my birthday movie. And I did turn to Ken at one point and I did say, this movie would be on par of me watching The Wedding Date, like, because I just always have it on my iPad. I throw it on when I can't figure out what to watch. But it's not streaming and it's not available for digital purchase. So it's not very portable for me to just throw in or throw on anytime I want. Danielle, why don't you tell us about the box office?
Okay, well, the movie had a budget of $46 million and made $97.5 million. So it did pretty well. It earned a total of $6.2 million in its opening weekend, but it ranked in 5th place at the box office behind Beavis and Butthead Do America, Jerry Maguire, 101 Dalmatians, and Scream.
I feel really bad because it is a very solid movie. It just happened to come out with other very solid movies.
Yeah.
And I had read that 20th Century Fox had originally wanted to release the film on February 14th 1997, to have a rom-com genre to go along with Valentine's Day. But the movie did so well with test audiences, they're like, let's move it up to these other movies that like we've heard nothing about, i.e. Scream,
Right.
i.e. Jerry Maguire.
Well, in their defense, nobody thought that Scream was going to be anything the way that it was.
Yeah. Well, and Beavis and Butthead is like,
Right.
it's this stupid MTV cartoon that they've made like a full length movie of. You're going to get a few people in to see it who are diehard Beavis and Butthead fans. Not the case. So, very competitive box office when they did decide to move it up to December of the previous year, which is unfortunate because I love this movie.
Well, do you want to hear what did come out February 1997
Yes,
for
please.
Valentine's Day? Absolute Power, starring Clint Eastwood. Vegas Vacation.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. God, this is just for you. Fools Rush In.
Oh, yeah.
You would
Two
have had a...
movies that feature the Hoover Dam. Who knew?
Ooh, okay. Dante's Peak. The Beautician and the Beast. You couldn't tell me nothing about that movie. I loved it so much because I obsessed about the nanny. How things have changed.
It would have done well. It would have
Yeah.
been, because as much as I love Fools Rush In, it's clunky in spots
Yeah.
and it didn't have the star power that was George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, not at all. It would have definitely
And
won.
Mae Whitman. I'm going to profess my love for Mae Whitman so much during this episode. I kept telling Ken last night, I'm just, it's going to be a Mae Whitman love fest.
And that's okay because I support that. Oh, Dante's Peak came out February 7th, but it
Okay.
would have still been in the theaters. It's
Yeah.
just so crazy how different the like movie theater process it was back then because a movie would stay in the theaters for so long, and
Yeah.
now we're fighting to get a movie to even be in the theater for more than a week before going to streaming. So good to know. All
Well,
right, well,
Danielle, I'm ready to get my heart broken. Lay it on me. What did Lil Raj think of this movie?
Roger Ebert, you sly dog. He gave the film 2 out of 4 stars, calling One Fine Day an uninspired formula movie with another fine performance by Michelle Pfeiffer. She does everything in this movie that a much better movie would have required from her, but the screenplay lets her down.
We have fairies. We have goldfish. We have uncovering a government scandal. We have an architecture design disaster. We have love at the end and the Wizard of Oz. What are you talking about, little Raj?
Honestly, I there was nothing about the dialogue that felt like, something will land at you and you're like, oh, that was cheesy, or I
Yeah.
couldn't swallow that. It feels like two regular people.
Yes. Maybe
It's a,
that's what it was. It
yeah.
wasn't glitzy. It wasn't over the top. Everything that could have happened in real life. The dialogue was very much like stressed out type A mom and type CDE part-time dad. Like everything about it was just very like centered in reality, which maybe Lil Raj wants a little bit of fantasy, but that's not how we live our lives, Roger.
Well, before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
Are you tired of waiting for sparks to fly on your dating app? Do you dream of running through airports to deliver an out-of-breath, unplanned monologue? Then stop doom scrolling and start listening to Meet Cute Rom-Coms. Feel-good love stories that take you from chance encounter to grand romantic gesture in just 15 minutes. We're bringing rom-coms back. Get a brand new Meet Cute series on the first Tuesday of every month, with new episodes twice a week. Fall in love with Meet Cute Rom-Coms, wherever you find your podcasts.
Is this where we kiss?
Jackie, let's dive into cast and crew. Let's see who the studio was trying to get instead of George Clooney.
I'm so glad it didn't happen. I'm so glad it didn't happen. They originally wanted Tom Cruise. Completely different movie. This movie works because it is Michelle Pfeiffer and George Clooney.
I know that you hate Tom Cruise, and I know that he's crazy. I get it, but I do think you have a blind spot for him. I really do think he would have been okay in this. He has a different swagger than George Clooney, and that swagger may be overlooked because you don't like him and it doesn't work on you, but I do think that sometimes Tom Cruise be in his rom-com bag when he wants to be.
I just think, and I will admit, I do have a soft spot for George Clooney. He's just so goddamn charming in
Yeah.
every movie he's in. And I think that's what makes this role work, because it could have gone very easily into like, you can't even bother to take your kid while your wife is going on her honeymoon. Like, why weren't you the first person she called when she was going on her honeymoon?
I I think this movie will also like there's a lot of things that come into play too. If Tom Cruise had been in this movie, I think the role of Michelle Pfeiffer's character would have been diminished a lot. There
Yes.
would have been like a fight to make someone the quote unquote star instead of co-leads, if that makes sense.
It was
And
very even.
yes, it was very even. And knowing that a woman wrote the script, you could feel that
Mhm.
in how yes, the roles are like a mom or wife or a girlfriend, but you could see as a mom, it was one of the most realistic portrayals of a mom that I remember watching
Yes.
growing up. So yes, I do think it's better that Tom Cruise didn't wasn't on there. I do think George Clooney had a lot of charisma and didn't try to overpower Michelle as well. But after Tom Cruise declined the role of Jack Taylor, he actually declined it to make Jerry Maguire. And I have a feeling that when we do that movie, I won't feel like that movie holds up as much as I used to think.
Hmm.
Uh, RIP. The studio had approached Kevin Costner for the part, and Costner really wanted to accept because he had missed a lot of opportunities to work with Michelle Pfeiffer. And as of today, they still have yet to collaborate on a film together. And he had always wanted to work on a film with her, but decided instead to focus working on his next directorial film, The Postman. I can't make fun of that movie because I've never seen it.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it
From
was
what
worth
I
it or not.
understand, what I remember, it was very well received.
Oh, okay. So Clooney was given the role. Now they say George Clooney was given the role, but because we are so blessed, we actually had the producer of this film, Linda Opes, on the show. RIP. We were just so lucky to have her. And I don't know if you remember, she was telling us how she had to convince a lot of
Hmm.
people, the studio heads and Michelle Pfeiffer's, I think her agent was very hands-on on this project because Michelle produced it.
Hmm.
And she had to work really hard to convince them to use George Clooney. And I think a lot of it had to do with less with George's skills, with his skills, and more the fact that he considered a
Yeah.
TV actor at the time. And she even mentioned that like now we're seeing so many movie actors on TV, but back then not many people were doing both. I think she mentioned Woody Harrelson was like one of the only few that could kind of was doing it back and forth. I think Jennifer Aniston was trying
Hmm.
with doing both. So she said that George Clooney was on the cover of Rolling Stone and she took the cover and sent it to everybody because she's like, he looks smoking hot on the cover. And she said she thinks that's what got her the meeting. Now, Linda is the one who came up with the concept of this whole movie. She didn't write the script, but she came up with the concept because she was a single mom working in Hollywood. And she said the only time she ever got to be by herself and close the door was when she was getting massages. So she got a massage and it all came to her and said, like, I'm not going to meet a guy there unless I don't know, I need him on a child's field trip or my child's field trip. And
Mhm.
that's where the concept came. So the Rolling Stone got her through the door for Michelle to actually call her back
Mhm.
after getting the Rolling Stone. And yeah, that that's what happened. And if you want to learn more about the story, because there's a ton of details I missed, make sure you go check out that interview because it was really good. And then the link will be in the notes.
And if you're listening on Spotify, we can link previous episodes now, I believe.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, look out for that. I don't know if I just made this up or not. I
Hmm.
feel like George Clooney doesn't really work with child actors. Like, it's just
No,
not
you didn't make
his.
it up. That
Okay.
happened in our interview.
Oh, okay. Cool.
We talked about Mae Whitman and
Yes.
how George really refused and wasn't excited to have a daughter, child age daughter, and was a little, what's the word? Standoffish.
Hesitant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but he created a really good bond with May. I mean, she's fabulous. Anything she's done since she was a little child up
Yeah.
until present, she is just spot on. Every role she takes, like every performance, like you believe she was Maggie. Like there was no, oh, that's kind of a kid reading lines. And Alex
Yeah.
D. Linz did a really good job
He
too.
did amazing.
Like the two of them, for being as little as they were, just nailed it
Yeah. You
in
really
this
felt
movie.
like those were their kids.
Yeah,
Like they never took you out of the movie.
right.
And I
Which
think Linda,
a lot of
mhm.
movies that feature young actors, there are those moments like there'll be like a line or two where you're like, oh, they were just fed that line and they just regurgitated. Like
Right.
there was no acting involved. But these two, 10 out of 10.
And Linda said that it was May's ability to be self-sufficient that kind of turned George around. And by the end of the production, he was, like they were besties. So love that for May.
Yes.
It's funny because when we were talking to Linda, she talked about how she they had George like a chemistry read with Michelle and to the way she was talking about it and even when these two talked yeah they were talking about it in the past it made it seem like that was the first time they ever met each other but funny anecdote from 2020 they were both interviewed I think it was Vanity Fair's or Variety I'm not sure which one Actors on Actors I think it's Variety and George Clooney said he had met Michelle Pfeiffer years before in the early 80s because he had gone on a few dates with her sister,
Oh.
actress Dee Dee Pfeiffer. And he and Dee Dee co-starred in the cult action film Red Surf. And at the time, Dee Dee was living over the garage at Michelle's house, kind of like in
Interesting.
Multiplicity.
Well, other cast and crew notables, the daughter of Neil Simon, Ellen Simon, wrote the script. Her dad said maybe you should return the money.
Yeah, and Linda said when she was in Australia at the time, when she got the script, like the first run through of the script, she called Ellen and was like, "This is the best script she had read in a while." And Ellen was like, "Well, my dad said I maybe you should return the money." I was like, "Damn." But he's Neil Simon's also, I don't know. He's made a lot of really important movies, but I
Neil
think
Simon
theater,
just comes from a time and a mentality.
yeah. Eh, we'll leave it at that. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
And then portraying Frank Burrows, one of the reporters in the film, Pete Hamill was in fact working for the New York Daily News at the time of production with his picture plastered on MTA buses and subway posters like George Clooney's character Jack Taylor in the film.
I love that you don't know Jack because remember that game
Mhm.
we used to play?
Oh,
You used to have it on the computer in the
yes.
computer room.
But they have it now. I can't believe we've never played, Danielle. They have these apps that you can download
Hmm.
and it's like $25 for the app. But then it's essentially the same company that you don't know, Jack
Jack.
company. But they
Hmm.
have all of these games, and what you do is you log in, like you go to a website, and you put a code in on your phone, and then you play from your phone, and then someone projects like the game on the TV and stuff.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
lot of fun.
We'll have to do it next time.
Yeah, I have a couple of them, and then Valerie has a couple of them. But yeah, and one of them is classic You Don't Know Jack.
That used to be our game.
Oh,
It
it
would
was amazing.
it would be on the computer and we'd play it. All right, let's dive into the movie.
Let's do. So the opening scene is Michelle Pfeiffer playing Melanie Parker.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look that up. The movie opens, Melanie Parker is getting ready. She's in her apartment. It's evening. She's working on things and then like putting her kid to bed, making dinner, like all the things. So you can tell she's just very like type A. She's sitting there making notes on her computer, writing things down. And then she finally climbs into bed at like midnight. Kid wakes her up in the middle of the night because he needs a drink of water. She's exhausted, and alarm goes off the next day at 6:30. She starts getting up, and then she mentions that they have to take Sammy's
The fish for school.
well, the fish, they have to take the fish to school, and then they have to pick up Maggie, Sammy's classmate, and take her to school because her mom is going on her honeymoon.
Whilst on the flip side, we see George Clooney waking up. Well, he hears a door knock, like slam, slam, slam. It turns out it's his ex-wife and his daughter. He's surprised because he doesn't know why they're there. It also shows that he has a shitload of construction going on in his apartment.
There's
And
a throwaway line later that they're working on the plumbing issue. He tells Lou. So that, I guess,
that
explains all
explains
that.
it.
Yeah.
And from the gist of it, I think his ex-wife is on her honeymoon, about to go on her honeymoon, and the childcare that was supposed to be there fell through.
Yes.
And so, Jack, you've got your daughter for a week. Peace out. Yeah. And she gives him a list of like people he should be calling, and she tells him that he needs to call Melanie and that she has a field trip today. Maggie does.
They
So
can't be late.
can't be late. And he's like, I don't know where her school is. I don't know
What time it
what
starts.
time it starts,
Yeah.
nothing. And I was like, damn.
Yeah. Those mid-90s divorced dads.
I think Linda initially said that in the script there wasn't even this. They didn't say. I think the male that they were going to put in there wasn't a single dad as well, and she said that was kind of bias on their end for not thinking. Oh wait, there are single divorced fathers as well.
Yeah.
So, but boy, does he live up to a type.
Yes. And he's just very lackadaisical. You can tell even in his career, he's given like full lead to kind of do whatever he wants. And he's good at his job, but that kind of lends to he doesn't really have to adhere to any rules or timelines or anything.
He's a charmer, so he gets to do what he wants. So someone like Melanie is like a ball buster to him.
So Melanie is at Maggie's mom's door, pounding, pounding, pounding. No one. So now they're late. They come running up with this goldfish bowl. Ken had a lot of opinions during this movie. One being that goldfish bowl isn't big enough for 3 goldfish.
I kind of feel like she could have left it to the next day.
Yes.
Because they're going on the field trip, even though they went to the school first to realize that nobody was there.
Yeah.
Or they had left for the circle line. I just feel like that's not the time to bring it. Like, they're going on the trip. You could have done it the next day.
Right. And like, my thing is like, there isn't a secretary there. There's no one at the school. Everyone, the janitors, everyone, cafeteria ladies.
That's a valid point. She could have left it at the front desk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was odd. I also feel like in the whole craziness of everything, I do think that Maggie's mom could have called Melanie and told her, hey, I have to bring her Or, hey, can I drop my daughter off there and I'll have my ex-husband come and
Well,
get her?
she told Jack, hey, she's still willing to take Maggie to school. So you need to decide if you need to go to my apartment and drop her off, or call her and tell her that you don't need her to take Maggie and you can take her yourself. She
Damn,
left too
you're
much up
right.
to that man.
She did.
It should have
She
been
did.
like, hey, get your child to school.
Yes, very true.
So now here's our meet cute running up to the door. Everyone's gone. Cafeteria ladies waving from the circle line. And they do try to get to the circle line and try and kind of like beat the bus there.
Yeah.
They are not able to. And you can tell right off the bat, like he's trying to do everything to like, hey, hotshot newspaper reporter. He's pulling out his own article, like, like
I thought that noise came from something else. I said, is the TV on? What is that? That was
that was
you?
my old man grandpa noise while he flopped the newspaper.
I don't even have words. Continue.
I can't wait to watch that on playback.
Yes, please
The
do.
processing on your face.
Yeah, because I think I legit looked around. Like, what is that? I was like, is that in the house? Did the TV come on? There's a lot going on.
So, yeah, he's flashing his article.
Yeah, he was being very cocky,
Extra.
like
Yeah.
taking the newspaper so she could see his column, and she's just like, oh, so over it.
And because she's not taking the bait, then he calls his boss, Lou, a man, an old man, and is like, what underwear are you wearing? Blah, blah. Like to try and get her to be like jealous, like, ooh,
I don't
I
know,
want a piece
jealous.
of
I
that.
don't know. He's such a weird way, such a weird way to try to attract a woman.
But also within that taxi ride, we see what a type A personality Melanie is. She's telling the taxi driver like how to get to the circle line. She's like going over all the things she needs to do today. She's chiding Jack for not telling her that Maggie didn't need a ride. All of the things. So alas, they get to the circle line too late. Ferry's pulling out, and now we have to figure out what to do with these children all day. So they're trying to figure out like who's gonna watch the
Logistics.
kids. There's the Ninth Street drop-in that they mention. It sounds like just like drop-in childcare. We experienced the Ninth Street drop-in a little bit later, but while they're kind of talking about, I have this big deal or this big presentation that I can't miss. And I have this big article that's coming out, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to figure all that out. The kids,
Well, at first they don't try to sync up. They just separate because Melanie is completely turned off by him. So they just kind of go about their business, but they do accidentally switch cell phones.
yeah, the kids swap cell phones while the parents aren't looking. These
Right.
kids are a menace.
Yeah. I remember watching this when I was younger and just feeling like I wanted to take my belt off and spank Sammy. And I know that's horrible. I don't know that child. But, and now that I'm older, I'm just like, oh, he definitely has probably ADHD.
Yeah.
And
He's just, his motor's continually running.
yes, and he definitely needs to have some patience and ways to get out his energy.
Mm-hmm.
And his face, even though sometimes it was just like, my dude, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. And, but like every time you looked at him, you would just melt and you'd be like, damn, I
Yeah.
can't even yell at you, my boy.
And then, sorry, Jack and Maggie end up with the fish because Melanie forgets them on the steps of the school. And so Melanie's heading with Sammy to her firm, and then Jack is heading to his office at the paper with
I
Maggie.
thought she gave him the fish. I thought she was like, and you're gonna take the fish.
I'm pretty sure he picked him up off, like she left them. I'll have to go back and validate.
Okay. I'd be making up stuff, so I could be wrong. But
Well, I do as well, so.
I just remember thinking, damn, why does he have to take the fish? But I think it was because you made us miss school, miss the boat and everything, so you were taking these fish.
Maybe he set them down on the steps and then picked them back up, and that's what I saw. Details. So we see Melanie. Oh, the other thing, and I told Linda about this, and it's like who I am today as a person fundamentally
The purse.
is Melanie's purse.
The
And
Barney
this
bag.
purse is everything you would ever need. It has snacks, it has wardrobe changes, it has toys, it has umbrella, like anything you need is in this magic bag. And watching this as my little Y2K self in 1996, so I was a freshman in high school, I was like, that woman is well prepared and I will always be like her. And like in my classroom, I had coworkers that called me Inspector Gadget because like one day someone was like, hey, so does anyone have a colander? I was like, I don't have a colander, but I have a salad spinner and the basket inside is just like a colander. And they're like, why you got a salad spinner? I was like, spin
That's
art.
none of your business.
Duh. Like, so I had all the tools, like everything. I just like to be very, very prepared, which I am still to this day.
That's why in this relationship, a lot of the times I don't have to be type A because I'm with you, which is nice because I feel like in a lot of the other relationships in my life, I do have to think a lot. And I don't have to do that with you.
And I always feel like this is a tangent, that I'm not really type A. I like to be prepared.
Yes,
And I
you're
feel
not
like,
you're not type A. Well,
no,
not hold on.
but
There are
I'm
times
not.
that it comes out, but yes, it's
Yes.
a mixture.
I'm like a type AB
Yes.
because that neurospiciness comes into play sometimes, and I like can't focus on one thing, and so then a million projects, or it depends on what the task is, or I get hyper focused on something, so it appears like I'm type A because I'm like, let's plan this whole trip tonight,
Right.
but then like the things I should be doing are not getting done. So we see Melanie and Jack part ways with their
Children.
corresponding child. Melanie heads to her firm where she has a big presentation on a new building pitch. We quickly find her boss hates children. They are just cesspools of disease.
He's not wrong. Children stay sick. I'm sorry. Not that they're cesspools, but kids always have colds.
Yes.
And so I I definitely am the type of person I love a fun kid, but if you're sick, nah, hard pass. And I love that. What's her face is in this too. Oh God. Hold on. Thelma from Mom and what's her real name? Thelma. Okay. Anna Marie Horsford is in it as the executive assistant. And she's like, why do I have to watch your kid?
And Melanie is literally like, just 5 minutes. I just have to go get the mock-up, the 3D mock-up, and bring it to Mr. So-and-so's office. Within that 5 minutes, the executive assistant goes to the bathroom and leaves the child unattended.
I just feel like I would have been totally fine if they went into a black stereotype where she would have looked at him and said, you're going to sit here and you're not going to move. You're going to play with your things. And he would have sat his ass there. I feel it.
Back up against the wall We're not throwing cars into the hallway.
He
Nothing.
had a whole setup, and I'm like, you see your mama stressing about you not being seen and
I,
whatnot.
I feel like part of this is Melanie's fault because who gives a rowdy child a remote control car
Mm,
to be tripping people?
facts.
So Melanie is carrying her display, and Sammy literally is trying to sabotage his mother at this point because he drives that car directly at her. She jumps over it and is very proud of herself, but then lands on her magic bag and trips over the strap and falls on and crushes the model.
And so she has to tell her boss that actually the model's not ready. She has to go pick it up. And he sees this child, and she's like, I gotta find whose lost child this is because she's not claiming her own child.
Mm-mm.
She goes down to her supplier to fix the mock-up. And even while there, her son continues with the mayhem because he somehow is like he's on one of these the things that you use to move large items.
Furniture dolly.
Thank you. And he's like riding on that, which I honestly would love to do that too, so I'm not mad at it.
And it was entertaining him. The only point where it became hazardous is when he rammed that thing right into the shins of the model
guy,
man.
right. And she was like, you almost ruined it again. Like, what the fuck? And then he's thirsty. And of course, in the magic bag, she's able to pull out a juice box, which honestly, this bag is just any mother, essentially, with the child under the age of 9 probably has similar things.
Yeah.
If you don't have it in your car, like if you're in the go. And of course, he squeezes all this juice all over her shirt. And I don't know why, for some reason, this scene always stayed with me. Like the idea that she put this dinosaur shirt under her business suit always rocked my mind. I love it to death.
I love it so much. Well, number one, she fits in like her 6-year-old child's shirt.
Yeah.
Point number two that Ken was very upset about in this movie was that they show Michelle Pfeiffer in just her bra twice. And he's like, it's unnecessary. Why do they have to like diminish her character by showing her like almost nude, essentially?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the 90s. It was the time. Like, I don't disagree. Like, it added nothing to either scene.
Right.
But how feminist of him to point this out.
Well, yeah, they definitely snuck that in for sure. And I think she has to come back for the model. But I think she gets really frustrated with Sammy and says, you know what, I have to take you to the 92nd Street drop in thing. And he's like, am I being punished? And she's like, no, but like I'm having a day. I just don't have you have to be somewhere else for me to get this stuff done. So she drops him off. And on the flip side, while all of this is happening, what's George Clooney's name? On the other side, Jack is dealing with his own frustrations because now he's back at his newspaper office and his boss is like railing into him because an article they published on the corruption of the mayor and I think the
sanitation
commissioner or commission, I'm not sure. They were in cahoots and there's some sort of like money situation going on there. And so
but his source is now saying that he never
he's retracting like that he never said anything to Jack and it was never on the record and all this stuff. And so I guess this is like a pattern. Jack is always kind of in trouble. So all of this is happening between him and his boss, and in the background you see Maggie. They for some reason there's an office cat called Lois Lane, and so she is petting the cat, obsessed with the cat.
Cat eats the fish.
The cat eats the fish. Both children are constantly trying to get their parents' attention. And I think Jack is the worst because actually, before he goes to work, he goes to his therapist. Mind you, Maggie has said multiple times that she is hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and he has not done anything about it. He goes to therapy first, and he starts talking in like analogies about women and calls them cookies and fish, and it's just like a mess. But his daughter's very smart. She's picked up the what's going on when he's even trying to talk in code. And eventually he does take her to like I
It's
don't know if it's
Junior's
like
in Grand Central Station.
yes, to get a burgers. Was it actually Junior's or just another restaurant?
It was burgers, fries, and a shake.
I
So
don't
I'm
think Junior's had gotten there yet. Well, I think when we went, they had just brought
oh,
Junior's there
okay.
from Brooklyn, so I don't think it was in this movie, but I could be wrong. But yes, they were at this cool restaurant eating burgers and fries and shakes in the morning. And then after that, what happens?
Now Jack has to go and find his source and figure out why he's like saying that he never corroborated the
Right.
story. But in order for Jack to do this, he has to travel all over New York City and he can't really drag Maggie around. So he ends up having to take her to the drop off as well.
And in a moment of Melanie walking into this place because her Sammy has already told her that like he hates going there. The kids are mean. And she's like, well, you're gonna have to suck it up. And when she walks in, she sees a little girl sitting watching a puppet show, and she's like, oh, mesmerized by this. And then she realizes it's Jack, and she's like, damn. And so, but it's cute that both of them give their children their watches, and they're like, when the
Mhm.
big hand gets here, then I'll be here to pick you up. So then they separate, go their different ways. Jack goes to find his source, finds his source. His source is like, I was out of my mind. I don't know what I was talking about. And he's like, I can't do it. He goes
Essentially,
back.
like they're going to kill me if I am the known source of this information.
Right. And then he goes back to his boss, and his boss is like, you need to find a new source. I think he's on the phone with his boss, actually. And then he finds out that the sanitation commissioner or commission guy is actually in Barbados with his girlfriend. So he's like, well, if there's a girlfriend, there means there's an angry wife. And so
Mhm.
he's now looking for, is it Lorraine? What's her name?
I don't remember.
Elaine Lieberman, he's looking for her. And so he calls her house. Oh, this was a little bit later.
Yeah.
So I'll wait.
So the kids are dropped off at the drop-in, but it's superhero day. So we get a montage of
Right.
Melanie pulling stuff out of her magic bag to make them into superheroes. So they leave and she tells Sammy like if it's an emergency, you can call my mobile, but if not, I'll be back to pick you up in a few hours. He almost calls immediately, it seems like, and he's like the kids are really mean. They took Maggie's snack. Like, we don't want to stay here. And then he goes, what's LSD? And Melanie's like, I'll be
We have
right
a
there.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she calls Jack and she's like, hey, like the kids can't stay there. We have to pick them up. Your thing is from, it starts at like 5:30. Mine's from 3 to 4:30. Is it okay if you watch the kids from 3 to 4:30 and then I watch them while you're doing your thing? Because there's a press conference with the mayor that Jack needs to be at.
Right.
And so Jack has already kind of tracked down, oh no, it's at the museum that he figures out. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
He agrees.
yes.
And and somewhere in between, she meets with her clients, and they now want to go to the 21 club later after work, I think at
Yeah.
5:30,
30. Yeah.
to have drinks.
Well, and the way she gets the deal is the father, it's like a father son
Yeah.
investor, and the father's like, I need to see cars with it, I just can't imagine it without cars. And because Melanie has her magical bag and a kid, she pulls out all these matchbox cars and she's like, here you go. And they're really impressed by that. And so She's like, I'm going to try and make drinks. And I think his press conference was at 4:30 because they had to be at soccer at 5:30 and drinks was at
I think
5.
soccer was at 6. The press conference might have been at 5 or
Yeah.
4:30. I think it was at 5.
It
And then
was,
her drinks was at 5:30.
yeah. So it was all just very close together.
Mm-hmm.
And the soccer game was really important because it's the last game of the season for the kids. Sammy's dad, who's a drummer and not very involved in his life, was going to be there. And then you don't get a trophy unless you're on time for the last game. And so it was really important to Sammy to get his trophy and see his dad. But she's like, I'm gonna make it work. So while she's doing her presentation, Jack has the kids, takes them to a museum, is not watching them at all as they like
No.
wreak havoc on like the Natural History Museum. But he finds the security guard speaks Spanish, and so he can call Elaine Lieberman's house and ask her housekeeper where Elaine is. So he finds out she's at Elizabeth Arden spa for the afternoon. And so he's able to go there, meet Elaine, and she's like, fuck yeah, I'll help you. I have deposit slips, not even like a check, but a deposit slip. And the only thing I ask, yeah, the only thing I ask is that you send a copy of the article to my husband in Barbados with his mistress.
Right, because Jack is able to go to the spa when Melanie switches to get the kids, and that's when he meets Melanie's mom that he actually talked to on the phone, played by the amazing, wonderful Holland Taylor. So she gets to talk to him and say that actually he had just missed Elaine, and that's when he catches her downstairs. So now when Melanie has the kids,
we forgot one important part of when Jack has the kids. Sammy gets the marble stuck in his nose.
Right.
And he has to go and get it extracted. And then he kind of asks the kids, like, let's keep this a secret from Melanie.
Because we learn from the conversation with her mom and Jack that Sammy likes to put things in his nose.
Yes.
He put her wedding ring in his nose, which you would think if you keep doing this, you keep having to go to the doctor. But hey, common sense, I don't know. When Melanie has the kids because Jack drops them off at her job at Rockefeller Center and she expects him to be super late and stuff like that. And he's on time and they have a lot of bickering back and forth in the movie, very like, what is it, 1930s rom-com.
Yeah, like very His Girl Friday.
Yes. And so she takes the kids to Serendipity. They're having lots of frozen hot chocolate and banana splits and stuff like that. Again, Sammy somehow drags one of the things and gets stuff all over his mom's outfit. I'm like, Jesus. And then after they leave there, they go to a store. She's on the phone. Melanie's on the phone, distracted. And now Maggie sees another cat and follows it out of the store. And Melanie is losing her shit because she has now lost Maggie. And she doesn't know where she is. And takes Sammy with her to the police station to, make a report. And she decides, instead of staying at the police station, to go to Jack's press conference that he's supposed to be at, ? Because I never understood this part. And I also didn't understand, did she not call Jack to say, hey?
So because she lost Maggie, she put down Jack's information to contact him. Oh, no. I think Maggie told whoever found. Oh, that's what it was. Maggie told the antique dealer lady who had the cat and the kittens her dad's phone number. So the lady called him and was like, I have your kid. So he has to leave what he's doing.
No, the police officer called Jack and told him, I have your daughter. And he's like, what are you talking about? And that's how he's able to go to the antique store to pick up Maggie. And Maggie is now under some table with a mother cat and her kittens, and she's like obsessed. But there's a line in this scene that Mae Whitman improvised about not knowing all the cats' names, and she stays in character, and she's like, "This one, I don't know what his name is. I forgot." And they said it was so cute, they kept it in.
I really do like that because she's like, this one is Bob because it looks like a bobcat. This one is so and so because of this, and then she's like, and this one I forgot what its name is. She's just like, I don't know.
So then she's like not wanting to leave, and he's like, "Please don't do this to me because I'm gonna be late." And so she's like, "I want to keep the cat." They have a whole conversation about that cat's gonna have to stay at his house because her mom is allergic, and he's like, "Well, you'll have to have a place for you to come visit in a room." I'm like, "You ain't got a room for this child yet? How long ago was this divorce? Your wife is already remarried."
Yeah. Well, and it's just, it feeds into that, like, sometimes dad. Like, he only probably gets her every other weekend and does fun things and then drops her back off at mom's house.
Yeah, honestly, I think Melanie should run because if they get together, she not only has to deal with her own son, she has to deal with his daughter and him because he's a child.
I had that thought. I'm like, as much as, like, you want to root for them at the end, I'm just like, he seems like a lot of work. Like, if you don't have a Palm Pilot or a Google Calendar or something to keep that man somewhat organized, it's just not going to go well.
Not in the slightest. So he now has Maggie. They head downtown. Now, I don't know where Melanie got that red coat from.
I don't know either. Maybe it was in the shop that they went to. Did they go to the shop because she
I
needed an
think she got
outfit?
at the police station.
In the Lost and Found?
Lost and found because I don't understand. She looks a mess when she's at by the time she gets to the press conference, she looks a mess. And so,
I
yeah.
love that for her because she's always so put together. That is just like, when a day has fucked you over so many times, you just look ragged and you don't give a shit no matter how type A you are. It's just like, this is what it is at this point.
And I'm sure she's super embarrassed because she runs into Celia, who's played by Amanda Peet, and has been calling. She called because they had the phone switch, so she called Pete. What's his name? Jack. Call him Peter. She called Jack, and Melanie answered, and she could tell that this is like some kind of lady because she's like, "Oh, I missed you," and blah blah blah.
The Amanda Peet character was just so unnecessary and so forward in her, and like, Jack really, like, he flirts with almost everyone, but he doesn't really reciprocate anything that Amanda Peet is throwing at him. He's just like, oh, okay, bye, elevator button.
It's just a button to push for Melanie's character. And
Yeah.
it's also like a great way to show, oh shit, I look a mess in front of this woman. And that's when we notice that she's like, oh God.
And I think Melanie just knows she has to stall the press conference because does she know I'm assuming she knows at this point that Jack has Maggie, but
I don't think so because when Maggie shows up, that's why I was always confused. Like, one, why didn't you call Jack? So, because he would have run to try to find her.
Yeah.
And two, why go to the press conference instead of staying if she had stayed at the police station, she could have had Maggie. So I always thought it was weird, but I guess they were just trying to get the entire cast to the press conference. And so that's what made sense. And so she does stall the mayor by asking questions because she has stuff like talking about what Jack wrote in the article and the ex-wife and all this other stuff. And then Jack is able to come and stop the mayor before he leaves and calls him out on his article. And then Miss Lieberman shows up with the receipts and Yeah, it's all good. Jack's job is saved, everyone's happy, but Jack does take the time to rake Melanie over the coals and give her a hard time and make her say all sorts of stupid shit
Yeah.
about losing the daughter. And she's like, you've been giving me a hard time. You've been acting like I've been like the bitch, but you've been throwing your balls in my face this since I met you, and it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. Mainly because she constantly is saying that like she's not type A, she's not a hard ass, but her environment has made her have to be.
Yeah,
And I
you
think,
have to be super organized to be a businesswoman and a mother and not have any support. It seems like every time she calls, I think it's her sister. She's like,
the first call is her sister,
"Oh,
yeah.
I'm planning this gala for my husband." Like, obviously, she's a kept woman and has never had to like work a day in her life, it seems.
But it seems like that's the whole family.
Yes.
This is, she comes from a certain kind of pedigree,
Yeah.
and it looks like she dated someone below her station, and now she's kind of dealing with the consequences of that versus her mother and her sister, who I do think that one thing, like, yes, her sister is rich, but just because her sister isn't working per se a traditional job doesn't mean that it does sound like she diminishes her sister a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you don't work and blah, blah, blah. And I think that does piss her sister off a little bit because she's like, I have to run all this shit
Mm-hmm.
that you think is stupid.
And like a really an pretty early example, at least for the 90s, of like setting healthy boundaries. Like, that is the life you chose. This is the life I chose. Like,
Right.
I can't help you out today. I'm sorry. Like,
Right.
yeah. Whereas the mom's another story because she's at the spot. Like,
Yeah. Today's my spot. Like I
yeah.
have a whole day. I've already paid for it. I'm sorry, Sammy. So yeah, they're fine. Now it's time for them to try to get to the soccer field in Central Park.
But Melanie also has drinks at the jockey club.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
she does say, she's like, it's on the way. I'm going to be in and out like 20 minutes max. We'll still make it to the game on time. And as she's sitting with them, the investors and her boss are like, oh, you need to catch up, like trying to order her drinks and stuff. And Sammy's just like standing outside, like blowing fish faces on the window and stuff. And finally she was like, you know what? I have my son's soccer game. Like, I'm really sorry. And as much as I want this deal, like, it's his last game of the season. He doesn't get a trophy if he's not on time. And now he's not going to be on time because I'm sitting here having drinks with you. I'm really sorry. I have to like prioritize my child. And
Yeah.
so get in the taxi. She's again telling the taxi driver his job, which streets to take.
I'm not mad at that because to an extent, I think sometimes some taxi drivers will, if they don't know that you know where you're going, they will take a longer route to rise up the pricing. I
That
will
makes
say
sense.
that.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes as a New Yorker, sometimes you're like, actually, we need to take this street, blah, blah. But I can understand also from the taxi's point of view, like, bitch, I know how to do my job.
Yeah.
So
they get to, was it in Central Park?
I think so, yeah.
So they get to Central Park and they have to run like all the way across Central Park. And just to note, Michelle Pfeiffer is in heels the entire movie,
Yeah.
running from space to space. And they're chunky heels, but they're
Yeah.
still heels. And so there's this big puddle, and because it's spring, so it's been raining off and on all day too. And Jack picks her up and like splish splashes in the puddle with the kids. And then they make it to soccer on time. Sammy's dad's there. And all movie, Sammy has been telling everyone, like, my dad's going to take me fishing this summer. And he's just so excited about it. And so they show up, the kids are playing soccer, and Melanie goes to talk to her dad. And there was this conversation like the like miscommunication of Sammy keeps saying that his parents are going to get back together. So Jack takes that as the reason why Melanie wants to be at the soccer game is to see.
Which I think is kind of dumb because men should know that little children always want their
Yeah.
parents to get back to, like, you're clearly this woman is not trying to live for this man. She just doesn't want her child to be disappointed.
Yes.
And the fact that he gets like upset about that, I didn't like his reaction
Yeah.
about that whole thing. They both get jealous over different things, but
Yeah. And then when the kids are at Serendipity, they're like, we have a secret we can't tell you. And it's about the marble in the nose. But Melanie takes it as like Jack likes her.
right. And
Which
they are
she's not wrong about it. Just that wasn't the secret that the children
right.
had.
And they argue, her and Jack argue about it because he's like, if you wanted to get back together with your husband, your ex-husband, why don't you tell him, you could have just said that. And then she's like, well, you've liked me. And they're going, so they finally kind of air out everything. And by the end of the soccer game, she has invited them to come over to her house for them to order Chinese food or whatever. And Jack, for some reason, says no.
Mhm.
He goes home. It starts raining. We see her pull a wonderful full-on rain suit for her son out of the magic bag.
Yep.
And they both head home. You see her at home trying to like get some food going. She, of course, spills it on herself. And Jack is at home and he's realizing he fucked up. And he's like, you know what? We got to get some more fish for the class. And they go get some fish. They head over to Melanie's house. And the kids, they put them to play, to watch The Wizard of Oz. And I love the scene because she goes to go change. Do they kiss at all in this movie? Or is it like alluded? Did I miss that scene where if they kissed?
They are kissing, and then she's like, wait, like, I'm a
Okay, yeah.
disaster. Let me go freshen up.
Yeah, because I think I looked away for a little bit. Because I was like, did they make this whole movie and they didn't kiss? But yeah, so she comes back out and Jack has already passed out on the couch. Then she just lays next to him. The kids it just ends with them playing One Fine Day for the millionth time because it plays a lot. Nora Jones in the beginning, it's in the score, it's sung by someone. The original is in it. So I was like, well, if you don't like this song, God help you.
It's a good thing I love this song because that is One Fine Day. We did it.
Yay.
Yay. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
And
All right,
on this rewatch, I've never felt more of a connection to them just sitting on the couch and passing out. Like as a youth, you're like, they had the option for like making out and they're sleeping. And then as a grown up, I'm like, that tracks.
Yeah. Someone I could just lay with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. And I also feel like the color grading on this was it's supposed to be spring, but it could be perceived as fall. It is like you feel that there's like a little bit of a chill in the air, but it's also like it's a perfect rainy day movie.
Yes.
Because obviously it's raining the whole time. And it's just Manhattan at its best. Because it felt like, to me, it feels like a really New York day, you know?
Like very fast paced and like, you're going to be out the entire day. You're not going to be swinging by your apartment. You have things to do. You bring the magic bag because it has all your shit for the day. And then we're going to get back in time to order Chinese because we're too tired to cook.
Yeah, I think the concept of Manhattan and New York City in a nutshell, if you haven't lived in and experienced it, this movie can give you a glimpse. Like, I don't think people who've never been to New York or lived in New York understand how many places that they went and how much space they were going back and forth. Like, usually from start to finish, you're in once. Like, if you're at work, you kind of stay in a section. But to go to as many, they were all the way, like, to go to the Circle Line and then to be at Central Park, like, on a map, they really used almost a good amount of Manhattan. I think they shot at
Well,
44. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Well, and it's just because it was two different people navigating the city at the same time,
Right.
you're able to cover a lot of area
True.
depending on where they're going as well.
Very true. Yes, they shot in 44 Manhattan locations.
And I do love that most of it is takes place in the city. Like there weren't a lot of sound stages or anything, it seemed
Right.
like.
I think there was one scene that they actually, an exterior scene that was shot on Broadway in LA,
Okay.
which was very interesting because I went on, it's the site called on the set of NewYork.com, and they have like a whole breakdown of all the different places that they were in New York. And they were saying that one of the shots, when she is getting out of the cab with the mock-up to
Hmm.
take to the guy to fix it, that scene was supposedly Broadway between West 7th and 8th Street. It's supposed to represent that area, but they were
Okay.
in Los Angeles, which wish I knew that so I can ask somebody, why were you guys there?
Yeah.
What other facts do we have?
The press conference scene where Jack confronts the mayor is supposed to be City Hall in Manhattan, but was actually filmed in Brooklyn Borough Hall, which is the office for the Brooklyn Borough president.
Okay. That's interesting. Or let's see. The school that was used for the scene where Jack and Melanie find their children's class had already left is actually a private college called the New York School of Interior Design, or NYSED. The red front doors were added for the filming. Hmm. Nice of them to let them use that.
Yeah. I love this fact. So near the end, when Melanie is going to freshen up, she's kind of walking backwards while still talking to Jack, and she accidentally bumps into an like a little table in the hallway. This was not scripted. This was Michelle Pfeiffer just being clumsy, and so they kept it in the movie. And I love it. It just gives like because all of the type A personality stuff that Melanie is portraying through the movie. You see her at home when she's relaxed and she accidentally spills stuff on her shirt. She bumps into tables. Like she's not as put together as she wants people to think.
Right. Speaking I was talking about One Fine Day and the music. After this film, James Newton Howard swore off doing any more comedy scores. So he was offered a bunch and he passed them off. Liar, Liar, The Rich Man's Wife, Dante's Peak, Metro. But he begrudgingly gave into doing comedies again, such as My Best Friend's Wedding, replacing Alan Silvestri, Silvestri, yeah.
Sylvester.
Alan Silvestri, because he had a scheduling conflict for Father's Day in '97. So that was a lot.
And this score feels well, first entire soundtrack top to bottom for me
Mm-hmm.
A plus. Like it just hits you in all the right places, has that like really retro feel while bringing in new artists like Nora Jones to do new renditions of One Fine Day. But it also feels like My Best Friend's Wedding. I could guess that those two were composed by the same
Mm.
composer. So George Clooney, you'll notice when they walk into Melanie's apartment towards the end, he's holding Mae Whitman up kind of like near his shoulder, and she's blocking half of his face. And that was because his eye was bruised during a basketball game. So that was their creative way to hide the baby bump.
Gotcha. So George Clooney apparently he liked working on this movie, but said he never wanted to do another mainstream romantic comedy again. But then he made Intolerable Cruelty in 2003, and then Ticket to Paradise in 2022 with Julia Roberts. So I guess he didn't keep to that for too long.
And then I do think it's really interesting to note that because of his performance in this film, Alex Linz was offered Home Alone 3, taking over the franchise from Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
He had that riz.
Not too much of it because he did not do another run. He only did one movie.
Yeah.
And again, our conversation with Linda, she said that George Clooney swore he would never ever have kids, and Michelle bet him that he would. And he eventually did. And Amal said that this is her favorite movie of his.
Oh, I like that.
All right. Well, before we get into the
present
just
day
a reminder to hit us up at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky, and let us know how you feel about this movie. If we got anything wrong, if we missed something, let us know. All right, Jackie, what is today's rating of this movie?
Still love it. Can't tell me otherwise. Even though Ken complained quite a bit, he said there's just too much conflict in this movie for
What?
I think the bickering back and forth and stuff, it was just wasn't his cup of tea. But it's certainly mine. Piping hot. I wish it was streaming so that I could just have it on my device to watch over and over. But this is the reason why we have analog media, so I can pop in the DVD anytime I want.
Well, it's a would buy for me too. I had a fun time rewatching it.
Yay. And if you have any comments about this movie or any of our past movies, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. You can call or text that number. Twat us at the Twitters, hem us at the Threads, Butterfly in the Sky at Blue Sky. You could be featured on a future episode. And we keep getting text messages to this number about Oscar and his warranty claim. Don't know what that's about, but
Oh, interesting.
holla, Oscar.
Well, stay tuned next week as we continue with some of Jackie's favorites with It Takes Two. It finally happens. The I don't know what you would call this, the smackdown, back down. I don't know. We finally now can talk about It Takes Two versus The Parent Trap. So it should be a very interesting episode.
Oh, I'm going to talk so much shit. It's going to be glorious. And as always, be kind and rewind.